Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this second AgroServ Connect webinar. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you again. And for those who join us for the first time, in this second webinar, we will cover once again the details about our currently open second transnational virtual access call for research projects. We have some guests today that will talk about their application to the first call. So for anyone who is interested in applying once again, it's going to be very interesting for anyone that might want to apply before the deadline, which is set for September 30th. So I give the floor now to Eba Ibrahim, who is our Central Access Manager. She will go through the application procedure, and after the presentations from our guests, we will have a Q&A section. So stick with us if you have any questions for us. Eba, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Daniela. Thank you very much, and welcome everyone. And also congratulations for the speakers for obtaining the project. As Daniela said, just a brief introduction through the application process, and to save some time to answer some of your questions. So agroserv, as you know, is a Horizon Europe project that aims to promote sustainable agriculture by adopting agroecological practices towards agroecological transition. And in agroserv calls, we have this call offer for service free of charge for all researchers from different sectors, including academia and industry, and also practitioners. Anyone can apply for access to our installations and services across Europe. The services we offer includes physical, virtual, and remote access. And these services are provided by 11 research infrastructures and the complementary services of socioeconomics, which is all the services are listed in the dedicated catalog of service on the website. So to be eligible to apply for agroserv, first you need to know that these, as I said before, it's free of charge for the access for all users from European Union member states and the European Union associated countries, and also from other countries outside of the European Union with, of course, a limited capacity. And you should know that within agroserv, we don't provide budget for the users for within their project, but we provide these access free of charge, and we reimburse you for the travel and accommodation cost. To be eligible, you have to take into consideration a few criteria. First is the transnationality aspect of your project, meaning that the majority of the consortium of your project must be based outside of the country where your where the services is located, the one that you are applying to. That, of course, with exception to the facilities or the RIs that has similar like entities like international entities like ERIC, for example, then you don't have to be located outside or in a different places. You also must know that all users are asked to disseminate the results that is obtained or are obtained during the service of agroserv, except or the exemption from this rule is the small and medium enterprises. You also should be able to submit a feasible application, meaning that you have to discuss your proposal very well with the facility providers and the access managers to make sure that your project is feasible if funded in their facility. Another important aspect in your project is to meet the interdisciplinarity and cross-disciplinarity criteria in your project within a project that are related to agroecology, meaning that in your proposal you have to select services from at least 2 different research infrastructures. And to apply and implement the access, so we offer calls and mostly around 2 calls per year. We have currently a running call, and the deadline of the call is end of this month, September 30th. So please watch out for the deadline and the cutoff hours for submission. And you have to keep in mind that the project itself, agroserv project, is until 2027, summer 2027. So if you're planning to have a field experiment that would run over a few years, you have to make sure that your experiment ends before the end of agroserv. Otherwise, it won't be feasible. Submission of a feasible proposal. Again, I would like to emphasize on this. It's really very important that you discuss your proposal very well with the providers, service providers or facility managers, because when you submit your proposal for us to evaluate, we will ask the service provider and facility manager to provide us a statement that this project would be feasible in their facility if funded. If they provide the statement that it's not feasible, then unfortunately the project won't be eligible to continue further in the selection. And of course, the selection of the 2 research infrastructure to meet the transnational, interdisciplinarity aspect. The third phase of the application is the evaluation process. So once your proposal is evaluated as eligible and feasible, we will send the proposals to independent reviewer panels, which will assess and evaluate your proposal based on the science and technology and the contribution to the agroecology. They will assess as well the implementation and the work plan of your project, including the feasibility and data management plan and so on. So please be concrete on what you want to do with your project and the services requested. You have to be clear why you are requesting these services and how it will benefit your research. And they will also assess how do you want to do this, so the experimental design has to be very clear and the expected outcome of your project. If the project is funded, then you will receive email from us telling you that your project is accepted and to ask you to take contact with the facility managers again to start for the implementation. So you will negotiate and discuss with the facility managers with the appropriate start date for your project and the technical details required for the access. And we'll ask you for implementation reporting, which in agroserv occur in 2 phases. Midterm report, which you will provide us the update or progress or any adjustment had to be done during the implementation of your project. And final comprehensive report at the end of your project with all the details and the outcome of your proposal. From the first call, we received 38 complete or full proposals from 16 different countries. And out of these 38 proposals, there were 20 proposals that were accepted and fundable. Unfortunately, the other proposals were not eligible due to the cross-disciplinarity, so they selected only 1 research infrastructure, or the transnationality aspect were not met, or because of the technical feasibility, so they were not in contact with the facility manager to assess the feasibility of their project. So the take-home message from us here and the advice is, we have a second call. Watch out for the deadline and find the required services that you want from the catalog of service. If you have any difficulties finding appropriate service from the catalog, feel free to contact us. and discuss very well the details of the service that you need with the service provider and submit an eligible and feasible application. There's also a few advice or recommendation. If you're planning to submit a proposal for this call or any of the open calls in the future, we highly recommend that you first make your profile on the application platform, so you would be in our database to receive any relevant information regarding the calls, like deadline, for example, or any further information you might need for your application. Build your proposal, if possible, you can build your proposal on previous work or previous data obtained from other projects. That would be helpful and would be nice in your project, but avoid to have double funding, because you will have to provide a statement that there is no double funding concerns or issues in your proposal. And read the guidelines that we have on the website, and frequently ask questions, and come back to us if you have any further question that is not answered there. And here you can find the email where you can reach us. So thank you very much, and I'm here for answering your questions. Also, my colleague Roland Perushka will be here as well to answer any questions from the audience. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, Ebba. Thanks a lot. I think it's very important for anyone interested to check our website, as you said, where they can find the guidelines and the step-by-step procedure. But now let's move on to the presentations we have today. It will be a set of discussions with applicants, successful applicants to the first call. They can share their experience, and anyone interested can see which kind of projects have been approved in the first call. So I would start by giving the floor to Juan Carlos de la Concepción. Please, Juan Carlos, you have the floor, and you can share your experience with agroserv. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and hello to everyone. So yeah, my name is Juan Carlos. I'm a researcher at the Gregor Mendel Institute in Vienna. And basically, my research goes around plant microbe interactions. In particularly, I'm looking how fungal pathogens can infect in plants. What I do is something very specific, because basically I use cryo-electron microscopy and other structural biology techniques to look at the interface between the pathogen and the plant. So yeah, this has a potential in agriculture and agroecology, because understanding how the pathogen infect the plant, basically we can understand how the disease proceeds, and also we can get new ways to mitigate those disease, involving, of course, reducing the amount of fungicides that are thrown into the crops and all that, right? So in my case, my research has a direct tie to agroecology, so it was easy to justify my research to the agroserv. So as I say, I do cryo-electron microscopy, and so the infrastructure that I chose mainly is the EMBL Heidelberg node of Eurobioimaging, because they have these services for cryo-electron microscopy, cryo-electron tomography, CLEM, and all that. Basically, they are top of the line, not only for the access to the instruments, because those are really expensive instruments that you cannot find everywhere, but also the service that they provide. Basically, those instruments are the typical instrument that you cannot operate on your own. So I would like to emphasize that agroserv not only gives you access to the instrument, but also to people whose specialty, and they know everything about that instrument and how to collect data, etc. So again, as they emphasize, speak with the service provider, because it's not only that they can give you, okay, this is feasible, they actually give you ideas on your research, and how to implement the things. Yeah, as I say, basically, agroserv allow me to get access to this expensive piece of equipment and also get access to basically to the know-how into how to use this equipment, which is an access that I don't really have in house. So yeah, this basically opens up a lot of possibilities for me, because a part of like, yeah, paying it for free is really good in my case to collect all this preliminary data that then in case of being successful, then you can take it on to like to a grant application, uh, hire people, or like really go following this path. I have been asked to kind of share the challenges on this. I have to say, I have to say the challenge as like, I guess as in any other application that is for the first time, at the beginning was like not very clear like the application process, but I have seen that this year the application process is really streamlined, so it's gonna be like way easier to apply. So I like really encourage everyone. Um, Apart from that, the main challenge was really choosing the second service in my case, because in my case, I wanted to do something very specific, that is this cryo-electron microscopy, right? And then you have to use another research infrastructure. And in my case, that has to be outside of Eurobioimaging. And what happened is that most of the services that I would be more interested on were inside of the research infrastructure of Eurobioimaging. So yeah, but yeah, if you put a bit of imagination and spend some time talking with people, you will always find something. In my case, there was another research infrastructure that it is dedicated to marine biology, which is like nothing to do with what I do, but they have a crystallography platform that I could send proteins and also do structural biology related with crystallography. So, but basically, yeah, that's kind of the challenge to really like get two services sometimes. But the way that I took it is like really choose and speak with the research infrastructure of the service that you are really interested on, and they will help you. They will give you ideas, etc. And then, yeah, like just be a bit imaginative into what's the second service that could complement yours. Be generous when making the research consortia, so then to make sure that you include colleagues that has different backgrounds, and for sure you will find colleagues that have the same interests and maybe their expertise goes into something beyond, and you can get this infrastructure. I also have to say, so one challenge that I found while writing the proposal was like, not I don't know if this year they changed, but I didn't really know to how many days or how many equivalent money in access I was accessing to, right? So sometimes I was feeling like, oh, it is even worth it. But I had to say that in the end, I was awarded more than 20 days of access of this cryo microscope at EMBL, and this is a lot. So really, like if while you are writing the proposal, you come across to is this even worth it what I'm doing? Yeah, I have to say that at the end of the day, it's worth it. Like basically, as I say, I got for EMBL this 20 days of access, uh, which basically covers data collection for a whole year period. Because in my case, you collect these data and then you have like month of analysis beyond you. Um, Also, I have actually already implemented the thing. Like we were pretty fast, and I have already used 3 of these days. I have traveled there to Heidelberg, to EMBL. We already collected data. I stayed there. I I got this form to get the money back from the travel and everything. And yeah, it's all pretty generous, I have to say. It's like it was really good. Um, yeah, I also, yeah, I have been also asked to talk about the expected outputs and impact of the research. So basically, by having this, I'm able to do some research that like normally I wouldn't be able to do, not just because I don't have the access. It is just difficult to, it is kind of, you can apply for projects that as long as are feasible or are deemed feasible, they are going to be accepted. And, there is not going to be someone that's, so you can be creative in your project, and then maybe you can go and try to do something that because of funding, etc., you don't know if it's scientifically gonna work, etc. So it really gives you the chance to explore something new, and that can impact your research quite a lot. As I say, like maybe from this I'm gonna get some data or some preliminary data that then I can use in funding proposals, etc. Yeah, so with that, I think I'm done. I really
Yeah.
recommend I really recommend everyone to apply. It's not a difficult one, and I think the outcome, at least in my case, was really good. And yeah, I probably will have to leave before the end Q&A, but if anyone is interested in contact me, they can probably get my email, searching my name or like ask the organizers, and I'm always happy to reply any email or like even give you some more specific advice or anything.
Thank you, Juan Carlos.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks a lot. Very, very inspiring, I would say, for anyone that joined us. You just emphasized the very important points that agroserv pushes and strives for. So again, thanks a lot. If you have to leave, of course, not a problem. So now maybe I can give the floor to Maria Isabel, if you want.
Yeah, okay, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. You take your time, and
okay, I have. So I okay. I look if I can.
Yeah, you should be able to share your screen if you want.
Yeah, yeah, that's the problem, because I'm with a Mac now, and I don't know if I can, if I am able of doing it without problem.
If you have a problem, I can maybe share for you.
Yeah, maybe it's better. Thank you.
Okay.
Because I thought it was easier. So
if you want to start maybe by presenting you and your project. In
yeah,
the meantime,
okay. Okay. So thank you, of course, to invite me to present my experience like as an agroserv applicant. I'm Isabel Nogues, and I work at the Institute of Research on Terrestrial Ecosystems at Siena in Italy. My field is the remediation of contaminated soils and restoration of degraded soils through the use of plants and organic amendments. So in the last year, I have been working on biochar. That is the subproduct of the pyrolysis of organic biomass, almost always vegetal biomass, at least in Italy. The definition of biochar that is given here in Italy officially. So biochar has very interesting properties to be used as soil amendment to improve soil characteristics like the soil water holding capacity, soil carbon content, and soil fertility. So it meets agroecology perfectly. In fact, biochar is related with 2 of the 13 principles of agroecology, that is the recycling and the soil health. Okay, recycling, because it's the close as far as possible resource cycle of nutrients of biomass. I am reading the definition that is given in these principles of agroecology. And soil health, because it's the secure and enhanced soil health and functioning for improved plant growth. So in this project that we have had about biochar, we performed several growing tests, official growing tests, to assess, on one hand, the effect of biochar and different application rates of biochar on the plant Chinese cabbage. So on the plant growth of Chinese cabbage, and to assess as well the phytotoxicity of biochar, because biochar is, of course, can be positive effects when the application rate is not very high. When it is very high, of course, it can be toxic as well for the plants. So in this framework, I came across to the website of Agroserv and to the first call for access. So with my colleagues, we decided to try to apply for something that could complement all the experiments that we have already done with biochar here in our place. So yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy because there are a lot of services. So you have to, I mean, we knew more or less what we wanted because we knew the thing was our basis that were these growing tests with Chinese cabbage plants. So of course we could not go to something like crystallography or as Juan Carlos has said, but something that was related with us. So at the end, we decided to apply for the service Agrofood Products Quality Assessment from Metrofood, and genetic characterization, metabolism assessment, and preservation on plant-associated microbiota from MIRI. The first one was to assess the quality of the Chinese cabbage plants grown on biochar, so the content of vitamins, carotenoids, microelements, and so on. And the second one was to study the community, the microbial community growing on the phyllosphere, so on the leaves of Chinese cabbage plants. So you can pass to the. So I know that the process has changed, but I think there are several critical points that are the same, because also Ibrahim has spoken about them. So first of all, to assess the feasibility of the overall proposal for both services. So when you contact them, you have to have a scheme of your project or a draft of your project, so they can look at it and say really if it is feasible or not to have a surprise afterwards when you have applied and they have to say it. Then to define the number of samples that you want to, or the number of analyses that you want to carry out there, because depending on that, you will calculate the access units that you have to put in the application. And in our case, it has been, we have discussed about this long with our access providers, because depending on the number of samples, we have rearranged our experimental design. So that means that, it's better if you contact them very much in advance to the deadline. I mean, now the deadline is at the end of September, it's late. You can try, but you have to do it very much in advance, because we have had a very a multiple exchange of mails, because you ask one thing, they answer to you, maybe you remember something new because of the answer they have given to you. So of course, an online meeting could be better because if you look at it's a direct exchange, so it could be faster. But I think it's not always possible. Of course, we are all very busy, so it's difficult to find a time with all the services, and we have only 2, so I imagine that there are people that ask for more than 2 services. So, but anyway, time is very important in this process. And then you have to define at least, when I ask a data management plan, so you have to know the data format in which data will given to you, how they will be stored, publicate, and so on. I have not been so much so fast as Juan Carlos. In fact, we have had a meeting before summer to discuss about days of implementation, and now we have to fill into the 2 forms that we have been provided, the agreement and the starting report. But I think that we will do in this month, and so on. Then the expected outcomes, of course, I expect very nice data that will complement the own data that we have here. So it will increase the multidisciplinarity of our research. So because we will see the experiment from different point of view, not only about the soil, not only plant, but also the microorganisms that are living together with the plants. So as Juan Carlos has said, it's a good opportunity to do new things, to use very good instrumentation, very good. So I think it's worth. But for me, the most important thing is to do all in advance. I mean, because you will need time to define, to be sure that then when you will apply to make, you will make the application, then the services will give you the agreement in the feasibility. So maybe having it better before than after, regretting after. So that's all.
Okay, thanks, Maria Isabel. I think everyone can also be aware of this kind of constraints that you point out, because they're very important. Of course, time now is the essence. So I think we thought about this webinar just to push a bit the people that are already thinking or finishing up their applications, of course. So Agroserv will have other calls in the future. So maybe somebody that just found out about the call will apply in our 3rd call, which will be probably next year. So I think this is all relevant information for people, nonetheless. So thank you once again, Maria Isabel. Now I can give the floor to Eba. Yeah, do you want to?
Just one comment,
yeah, sure.
for regarding the point Maria raised, and the time is really very good that you brought this up, because it's very important. Some RIs have internal deadlines as well to discuss some services or requested services among themselves. So once you think and decide that you want to apply for Agroserv, as soon as possible, take action and take contact with the facility managers, not very close to the deadline, so you can get the proper response and help that you wish for your proposal. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Eba, for this point. I would ask, if possible, Josue, who raised the hand, to wait a little bit further so we can finish up the presentation, and then we do this Q&A session. So we keep this structure. If you have questions anyway, you can use the chat now. If you have time constraints. So I will give the floor now to I guess Alberto. You can share, if you want, your experience. So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone. So I'm Alberto Akiki. I am working at EU's Pavia and in collaboration with the University of Teramo, and PhD I'm doing in sustainable development and climate change. So mainly, if I want, let's say, to start with storytelling, because it's very important nowadays to build up your or our researchers based on something that can be accessible and very clear to all kind of people. So I guess from this issue, I was very interested to work on this multidisciplinary or cross-disciplinary aspect, so I can overcome all these challenges and make my research comprehensive to everyone. So mainly I am working on emmer wheat varieties. Those kind of varieties are one of the oldest or the ancient wheat grains that have been domesticated by humankind, and they remained as their initial form. The main issue that they were neglected throughout time is that they have a low yielding capacity and a very hard or low quality through the processing, mainly by doing or making bread and pasta. So what we are interested to work on was initially on the technological part of those type of grains that are correlated strongly with the gluten content, the quality of the protein, and also the quality and the technological aspect of the products. So being stick to this idea, I was thinking with my team to elaborate a proposal that could take this issue to more disciplines, or like to get to make it more viable. How we can do that? And thanks to agroserv, because really it could it helped me through the process to understand really how I can implement all of this issue and these topics in a very easy way, I can say, and I can communicate it easily as outcomes at the end. So mainly I chose to work with the ERIC team. Okay, so mainly with the ERIC, I will get through the agriculture and environmental chemistry analysis, and the metro food, so the plans for food processing, and I choose also the third one, that is socioeconomics, surveys and data with UTAD. So mainly those three areas are really far away from each other. So here is the main key, that we are choosing different disciplines or to work with within the implementation of the project. So I am basically working on a socioeconomic assessment. I am working also on the food as quality regarding all qualitative aspects and technological aspects, and also we will be working on creating or innovating through engaging stakeholders and providing new or novel products, food products that are mainly bread and pastas. So the issue, I can say, with the application was that, as my the colleagues previously mentioned, to understand how agroserv works and how to go out with the communication issue with the access managers, because it was quite I will not say difficult, but like tricky to understand how to combine all the ideas in a feasible way. So someone asked a question, I guess, Stefania, what happened if they don't reply to your emails? Actually, it happened, I guess, for most of us mainly. Just as I said, stick to your idea, stick to your insist, and do not try to change. And my idea was also to try to find more than two infrastructures in case one did not reply, did not collaborate. So we can have at least the minimum that, I guess in our time it was two, the minimum, 2 or 3. So basically, my interest was really to do something in the agri-food supply chain of the emmer wheat that is connected to the human nature or the human the social part, and to connect to science through evidence, and also to connect it with the some people that are concerned with environmental issues, health issues, and to create those novel products to the market, hopefully. So I can say clearly that agroserv could is giving me the opportunity to connect in a trustful way all those gaps or all those issues that I'm working on, of course, within my team, because I am directly connected to the bioscience lab, or like to say to the food technology part. So mainly I will go a little bit far of my discipline, but that's the main challenge that I guess I will overcome it within the research infrastructures. So that's it for me. If someone needs any question, or I will share my email. So thank you.
Thanks, Alberto. Very, very interesting, actually. And of course, you highlighted once again some aspects that also the previous speakers mentioned. But yeah, we will also go back to some of the questions afterwards. And thanks also for your availability, actually. Let's move forwards, because time is also
Yes.
a constraint for us.
I would maybe 1 second. I would thank Heba for her assistance, because she's always available for us. So thank you.
Yes.
You're most
Yes.
welcome.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Heba shared their email in the chat also before. So she's the person of reference if you have any issues or questions regarding the application procedure, of course. And we will say it once again afterwards, but her contact is the one that you have to have if you find difficulties. So let's move forward. We have 2 speakers left. I would say Frida, you can open your mic and we can listen to your experience.
Okay, thank you.
And also, if you want to share the screen, you can.
Or you can you please share it for me?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
There we go. Okay, you should be able to see it.
Okay, I'm seeing.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yes, I'm very happy to contribute to this session with my experiences during my application for agroserv. And I'm Frida Dosa, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Agroecology, Benin Republic. And yes, can you, the title of my project is the selection of essential oil crops for tomato pest control in horticultural system. Our finding input valuable information for the control of Apis gossypii with plant-based pesticide Ipsis surveillance. So Ipsis surveillance is a wild plant that have been used widely in the world, especially to repel mosquitoes, for example, and it is also a medicinal plant and based on its repellent effect, it is recognized as a potential biopesticide plant that can be used to control pests in agricultural system and specifically in horticultural system. For the implementation of our project, we will be working at the International Center for Advanced Mediterranean Agronomic Studies, and the second infrastructure is Hellenic Center for Marine Research. About the challenge that we encountered during our application, first it was about the selection of appropriate institution that aligns with my research goals and the resource required to achieve them. And to overcome this first challenge, I took time to visit the dedicated catalog service available through Agroserv. And the first challenge was personal, and it was about getting ready before the deadline. I think for me it was a challenge because it was a challenge, and to overcome that, after drafting my proposal, I went through the application platform to provide the requisite information as requested, and it was very interesting. Coming to the second round, after getting the email that my project had been selected, I started based on the recommendation to get in touch with facilities users. First, I send them a message, I send them an email, and we have organized online meeting. That was very nice. I appreciated that. And after that, what I want to share with the current applicant is that it is very important to discuss our proposal with facilities manager, because one, it helps us to validate the method, the experimental design, and also it helps us to check the availability. Secondly, for my own experience, before submitting the final proposal, I got the validation of my two facility manager before submitting, and I think that this was my principal strength, because getting the validation was very useful, and I think, as I was telling, that was my principal strength. So can you continue, please? Yes. The expected outcome about our project is to determine the optimal doses of essential oil to induce repellent and insecticidal activities against Apis gottifi, which is a pest causing a great damages both in Europe and in Africa, especially in my country, Benin. And this will contribute to the agroecological transition and also contribute to the improvement of farmers' livelihood. Secondly, it will help us to determine the bioactive compound in this essential oil, which can help in labeling a biopesticide for pest control in horticultural system. My own feedback about the process was that I feel that it was a transparent selection process, and what I can gain from these experiences, and also after the implementation of my project, is that it will contribute to the advancement of my knowledge in my field. Because first at Hellenic, I will achieve one of my objectives, that is to assess the chemical content of essential oil, and at Agroecology, I will also assess the pesticide effect evaluation for the essential oil. So this will help me to achieve the overall goal of my PhD project. As I told, I'm a PhD student, and I will have access to a platform that will help me to improve my knowledge, to improve my know-how, and it is for me a great opportunity. And finally, I will recommend to all applicants to work to work hard on the discussion with facilities managers, because I think, as I was telling, this was my principal strength of being currently in front of you and sharing my experiences. Thank you.
Thanks, Frida. Thanks a lot for your sharing of your whole application process. And I think what we can also highlight from your presentation is the fact that, of course, applications are open also to people outside Europe, which is something that we didn't maybe stress at the beginning, but this is also very, very important to say. And just a reminder for people that would like to apply now that we said it before, but we switched from a 2-steps application to a single step. So Frida, of course, you shared that you had to go through 2 phases of the selection, and it's very important for us to know that and to hear that. But yeah, now it's much simpler. So anyway, thanks a lot. I think it was nonetheless illuminating your presentation. So now we move very quickly to the last speaker for today. Thank you actually for waiting. It's Vidsvara. You have the floor. You can take your time, of course. Thanks a lot for being the last, but not the least. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Yes.
Share my presentation. I put a presentation together. Can you see this well?
Yeah, it works.
Okay. Okay. So I need to probably swap it. Okay. Can you see the presentation fine now?
Yeah, it's fine. You can go ahead.
Okay. So the project I, together with my department, applied for, it's called Biotech Apps, Novel Biodiversity Assessment Technology for Determination of Arthropods and Pollinators in Sunflowers. I'm a researcher at the UNESCO Chair on Sustainable Management of Conservation Areas in Carinthia, University of Applied Sciences in Austria. Our mission is to assess the changing environment and provide know-how and good practices how to manage those natural habitats and ecosystems, especially focusing on conservation areas. One of the main aspects we do is to assess biodiversity in these environments, strongly relying on different technologies such as remote sensing, audio and camera traps, and data solutions. But my expertise is on molecular methods, where I supplement this team. And using these technologies, we can especially contribute to agroecology, assessing in this changing world what kind of effects different practices in agroecology have on biodiversity, on our ecosystems. So in this project, Biotech Apps, we wanted to focus on sunflowers. We identified sunflowers together with one of the service providers as one of the suitable study objects, and here we want to especially focus on how different approaches can be used in terms of novel technologies. On one hand, we can assess biodiversity in agriculture using traditional methods by capturing insects or arthropods, and then morphologically determine them. But this could be sometimes time and resource consuming, and on the other hand, also there might not be enough experts anymore available across all countries around the globe to do so and assess the association of different species with specific crop and management type. So we want to here explore how well novel molecular methods can supplement such efforts, especially focusing first on molecular methods to determine bulk samples, and on the other hand also try to assess DNA directly from the sunflowers, that organisms that visit these sunflowers, such as pollinators or other arthropods that live on sunflowers, shed onto them and leave traces that we can then, using molecular DNA-based techniques, determine. We want to compare then these three approaches to see how feasible these novel, less invasive methods can be applied, and second, to see whether these methods sufficiently detect any changes in communities present on different sunflower hybrids that are more or less tolerant to drought conditions. We were given the idea about agroserv in the first place by one of the service providers. This is the Plant and Soil Pheno. They said that that's a good opportunity to test the techniques that we are using in our research. So that was a good help to start. And as already mentioned by some colleagues, you need a minimum of 2 service providers, and we were very happy to see that there's another facility, so Genomics Core facility, that provides services on molecular metabarcoding analysis, where they can determine your samples using metabarcoding. And we contacted the colleagues in France, in Roscoff, to see what services exactly they can do. And they can provide basically the full service from DNA analysis, amplification, to library preparation, and then also bioinformatic services. So we were happy about that. And here I can maybe put on some, describe some points how we went on with this application process. So first of all, we had a bit easier job because we identified the first service provider with the field experiments, so that there would be this, there was already the field experiment done by the colleagues in Serbia, who set up everything with sunflowers, sampled the organisms, did the morphological identification of the samples, and then sent now the samples to us. And we will then provide the samples to the French colleagues. Together, we had to identify the potential scopes with all the partners so that it fits for our research goal, but also to the services they can provide. And then this had to be in detail discussed from the feasibility aspect, as mentioned before, number of samples, can specific type of analysis for these insects living on sunflowers be done in the lab? Can we get specific field supports, and how much effort would be needed to provide it by us in form of facility visits or transport some sampling materials that might not be available at the facility, for example, or or sequencing material if we need to prepare something with the samples. Finally, they helped us also with the ethic aspects, as this transport of samples between countries might not be so trivial regarding Nagoya protocols and such aspects. So we also started with project implementation already. everything starts with agreements finalization. On one hand, term sheet that is provided, at least to us, by agroserv, agreeing on the travel costs for research stays and dates. And finally, the bilateral agreement with each of the service providers, defining what kind of role everyone plays and what happens with the data and so on. Then the field experiments had to be provided in due time to fit with the experiment and the timeline of the project. So this was also quite challenging to start early enough. We had to exchange in detail on all the requirements that are needed for the experiment and analysis, as we have this bulk sampling with traps, then we have eDNA sampling with specific materials that had to be provided, and finally the same for the bioinformatic analysis. And one issue was also the sample and equipment transport, as mentioned, which we partially solved with visiting the facility and helping setting everything up. And finally, yeah, this I already mentioned. So, and the final slide is on outcomes and challenges. The main outcomes this research will have is to help implement novel methods in sunflower research, and also in agroecology in general, help providing these non-invasive eDNA methods to be shared in the community and hopefully foster research on this topic. We will gain information on sunflower-associated biodiversity, especially also in regions where this is not so well studied, such as in our case, Serbia. And we will develop further know-how and share information on these approaches between different institutes. The two kind of challenges maybe that I point out, although they were probably more along the way, first of all was that we started with the communication relatively late, which you might then now identify yourself with, having 1 month till the end. However, with a lot of support and response by our service provider, this was then very efficient. So we were able to very quickly prepare the first phase and the second phase also then very efficiently. So it didn't take too much time to prepare the whole project proposal. But especially now, the implementation, we struggled from the start a bit with this bilateral agreement to know what exactly to include there, but their French partners helped a lot. So if there would be any guidelines or information by agroserv would be very helpful from the start already. And then simply clear information on procedures and responsibilities on the side of service providers and on the side of us who are benefiting from the services. What are our responsibility in the whole process? So we saw now questions about traveling or equipment, what can be provided in the frame of equipment or consumables and so on. So I think this kind of frequently asked questions maybe will emerge during this project more, and for every round it will be better and clearer. So that's it. Thank you for inviting me on presenting, and I'll be, of course, happy if anyone has any question to answer, or contacting me afterwards if you need any support.
Thank you with the very, very interesting presentation. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned it at the end, of course, the little challenges and the little things that have been expressed by all of you. We hope, and we're quite sure that we will be able in the future to simplify them, to remove them, to make everything much easier for future applicants. Eba, do you want maybe to comment or to say something else based on what we heard today? And in the meanwhile, if someone has in the audience has a question, we can try to answer now. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you all very much for your time and the the challenges you provided for us, and and also the recommendation for other applicants or potential applicants to apply and take advantage of the access that agroserv provides. I noted down the challenges that you have, some of them, or if not most of them, that we already know from the beginning, but we try our best to facilitate the process as much as possible, as Daniel mentioned, and also Freda mentioned earlier. The application before was based on 2 phases. You had to apply for pre-proposal and then to apply for a full proposal. And we eliminated the pre-proposal phase in the second call to facilitate the process or make it a bit easier for the applicant and to make it a little bit more straightforward. But as everybody here highlighted and emphasized, I also want to re-emphasize on the importance of taking contact with the facility managers way earlier than the deadline and discuss the details required for your project, because they will help you to submit a feasible proposal, and they will help you also. They have strong expertise in what you want to do, so they will help you maybe to adapt your proposal, modify it a little bit to make it feasible in their facilities, or even maybe to give you some recommendation if the project is too complex to divide it into several projects that you can apply for many calls. So please don't forget the importance of this. And if you encounter any problem, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We will respond as soon as possible, and we'll try to help you as much as we can. So take contact with us as well. And we wish you all the best. And for the people who obtained the project, so good luck with the implementation. And try again and apply again for the other calls as well. Yeah,
Thanks, Eba. And with this, I guess we can close this webinar down. Once again, we are available. You can find the contacts on agroserv.eu, our website. So don't hesitate to contact us directly for any questions regarding the application procedure and for any information in general on agroserv. Thanks once again to all the presenters that joined us today. Good luck with your research, and we'll see you soon. I hope maybe in the future to maybe talk about your progress. So thanks once again, and have a good day, and goodbye everyone.